my father used to drive me to school a lot of mornings, and he would sometimes let me listen to whatever station I wanted to listen to, and oftentimes I would put it on 92Q, which is the popular hip-hop R&B station in Baltimore. And in the mornings, in the morning show, there was a co-host who was known throughout the entire city as Miss Tony. And Miss Tony was a heavy-set black male who dressed in drag, and he attended all the different functions, and he hosted this and hosted that. And I remember one morning my father saying to me, "Zim, can you change the station?" And I was like, "Why?" He's like, I just can't stand the sound of a faggot's voice first thing in the morning. And I'm like, wow, But in 2005, I met a young man. I'm not going to name him. He and I are very, very close, and I love him dearly. He's in the house. He's actually a Mugler. And he began to sort of expose me to the scene. He would show me, DVDs of him walking, and he would introduce me to other people in the ballroom scene. He began to sort of like point out and explain to me the different categories and how they worked and how they operated. And I then began to go to more balls to see him perform. And then I met a young woman. Well, I had met her earlier in 2005. I call her my godmother. She's the mother of the House of Khan. And I can't name her either because she'll go fucking ballistic. I love you though, sweetie, and but anyway, watching them both, especially for my godmother in the house scene, it sort of took away the stigma that I had about individuals who are house members. I used to have very negative concepts and notions and ideals about people who walk balls and who are part of houses until I met individuals who had college degrees and lived in gated communities, and who were very educated and who spoke various languages and had very close relationships with their families, and who went to church on Sundays and went to work every day 8 hours a day. I thought that everybody who was in the house, that all they did was fight, snort cocaine, and steal people's credit card numbers to order clothes on the internet and laptops and cameras. I mean, that was my idea, when I first came into the gay lifestyle. That's what I thought about gay men and females or transsexuals and what have you in the ballroom scene. The more research that I did, and the more attention I began to pay to the lifestyle in itself, I began to realize that what houses were initially created for, based on what I know, is to basically give a physical and emotional stability to young teenage boys and girls who were thrown out of their homes, ousted from their families for being gay. These houses were structured to give them sort of a safe haven, a place to lay their heads, structure, a family unit. And though over the years, the ballroom scene, once again based on what I've spectated, because from a spectator's point of view, they've sort of stepped away from that. But there is so much creativity and so much style and so much talent that exists in the ballroom community. I mean, I've been wild, and I'm someone who has studied the visual arts for years. I've studied all forms of dance and photography and fashion and film and cinema and art. And I mean, the ballroom scene encompasses all of that. And it's impressive. It's utterly impressive. I think that the portrayal of gay black men in the media is very, very, very haphazard. It's just, I've studied media and communications and film and television. I studied it for 6 years, between 1998 and 2004. And it bothers me, especially because during those years is when there was Will and Grace and Queer as Folk on Showtime and Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. And these shows all propelled the images of gay white America. So, it kills me that our community, the gay black community, we have had, most recently, there's been Patrick Ian Polk's Noah's Ark. We have the DL Chronicles. There's a new show coming. I don't know anything about this distribution, but Friends and Lovers. You have Maurice Jamal, who has, created a few projects. But it's so sad because none of our programming has been marketed on the mainstream. You haven't seen our programs on Showtime or HBO or BET even. We can't get programs on NBC, ABC, CBS. I feel it's sort of daunting to me to even create stories that are a reflection of my experiences and the experiences of my friends and my associates, because I feel like, those experiences, those visuals would never be shared to the public on a higher scale. And I just don't feel that we should have to always resort to independent funding and independent distribution. And I have so many friends, I have enough friends who have been in relationships for significant amounts of time and with men, and still, their families don't know, their families have never met this guy. And I think sometimes, I feel bad because it's gotta be difficult when in life you have accepted yourself, you've accepted your sexual identity, and yet still you feel the need to hide it from your family and your close friends in fear of being ostracized and, criticized and judged. I no longer know that feeling, but I can only imagine just the internal struggle that one endures having to live that. Over the past 2 or 3 years, I've really followed the blog of Frank Leon Roberts, who, I respect to the highest degree. Other authors like Clay Kane and Keith Boykin, Darian of Laugh Out Loud, Darian at blogspot.com. I mean, these are men who, over the past few years, between 2005 and now, their critiques and their writings and their works have really sort of inspired me to feel confident enough to be able to share my story, with the masses. And, in the next 2 or 3 years, I hope to God that I am indeed married. I would love to share my life with someone. One special young man who will stand by my side and, give me a round of applause when I accept my first Oscar award for Best Original Screenplay. That would definitely be the ultimate for me, anyway,